Welcome one and all to Women Encouraging Women Talk Show here on Cruisin' 92.1 FM, WVLT, a non-political talk show. I am your host with the mostest, Heidi Lee Morgan DeBartolomeis, trying to pass it forward one woman viewer at a time. Welcome to this wintry Sunday, January 14th, 2024. May we all be blessed with a spiritual, healthy, mentally, physically, emotionally, and financially successful year. May God, through his son Jesus, be with us all, that we are all loving, giving, kind, nice, compassionate, faithful, hopeful, respectful, and motivated. May we all receive peace. May we all receive love. May we all receive harmony with all we encounter, from family to friends as well as strangers. This we ask in Jesus' name. Amen, amen. Thank you, Jerry J, for always promoting Women Encouraging Women. Women Encouraging Women Talk Show interviews one woman at a time, sharing their life experiences, their trials, tribulations, being open, being raw, being real, hoping that they may help one woman at a time or a viewer out there. Just know you are not alone. So let's get this party started. Women Encouraging Women Talk Show would love to introduce this week's guest. So let's see how well I am good at pronouncing Italian names. Our beautiful guest comes from Washington, D.C. area. She is originally from North Jersey. Her name is Dorina Lantella Martirano with Dorina's Kitchen. And I actually so thank you for being here. Thanks. Thank you for driving up. I thought this was going to be a call-in. That's what I told our viewers last week. I know Matt, our engineer man, is glad that I have a person to talk to.
Well, I'm glad to be here.
And thank God we had good weather for you to be able to travel. Absolutely. And that you have safe traveling mercies back home. But Dorina, you came to me actually through another guest that I'm going to be having, Lucia Maroon.
Yep.
And Lucia Maroon is a harpist. She's a retired music teacher for the Vineland public school systems. And she got connected with you going to Italy because you guys do, I don't want to say the name wrong.
Okay. Well, so Lucia is actually from the town next to mine. In Italy. So I'm from Roseto Effect, and she's from Bicari. They're both in the province of Foggia in Puglia. And we got connected last year. Puglia is the heel of the boot.
Okay, that's what I was going to say. East, north, south, west.
Your sign language.
Yes.
Can't see sign language on the radio, but
no, yes.
Yes, it's
one might think I'm Italian.
Southern Italy, it's it's the best place, of course, but we're all biased to our regions. But anyway, we got introduced last year, and I've been doing trips to Italy for a while now. And so she was, saw what I was doing and asked me to help her because she wants to do a harp festival in Bicari, and I'm 20 minutes away, and so I'm going to be doing a companion trip and help her do the tour part of her trip. So it's going to be fun.
Now, Dorina,
yes.
Married?
Yes, I'm married.
And were you born and raised in New Jersey? Where were you born
I was actually born in D.C., so you got a little bit backwards. I was born in D.C., grew up in Bethesda, Maryland. I spent 22 years in New Jersey, and now I'm down in Delaware temporarily until we move to Italy later this year.
Okay, now that's what I thought during the conversation that we did have, that you were in Delaware.
Yeah.
So I just totally sideswiped Washington, D.C.
That's
but
okay.
Speaking of Washington, D.C., it is Martin Luther King weekend.
Yes,
and I also wanted to start off the show discussing, just taking a moment of about Martin Luther King. So anybody that has been a follower of Martin Luther King, he's preached unity, rights for everybody, not just men, women, of all ethnicities. And his life leads a legacy. His life was not in vain. It was for the good of all man and womankind. And I like to share with our viewers that Martin Luther King Day actually came in effect due to Stevie Wonder, who fought after Martin Luther King's life was taken. He fought for his birthday to be recognized, and that there to be a day recognizing Martin Luther King. And he went through 3 or 4 different presidential administrations before someone would listen. And although I am non-political, I have to say, because this is history aspect, Ronald Reagan, when he came into office in 1981, was the president who signed the declaration for Martin Luther King's Day to be a legal holiday. So those of you that celebrate and keep his name up in lights on remembering that we're all equal and to help each other, just know that his legacy lives on.
Absolutely.
And so you are in Washington, you are now in Delaware, you have Dorina's Kitchen, and I have in front of me a recipe catalog.
Oh, no, don't share that yet.
I'm not going to. Yes, this beautiful recipe book that you made. But I'm looking at this. What made you want to go into this endeavor on teaching people how to cook? Wanting people back at the family. What sparked you to actually, because we only have 45 minutes, and I know, and there's
that's okay.
a lot. I
spent 22 years in Jersey. I can talk fast.
Yeah, I'm thinking I could probably do 3 segments on you. But what made you want to get involved with sharing your family recipes? What was the spark that made you want to do it?
Well, so I've been teaching people how to cook since I was in college. I was 19 years old. One of my college friends said, teach us how to cook. We're all broke. We can't cook. And that's when I started. And it was crazy because it took me like all day to teach them how to make the pasta sauces because pasta's cheap, and I showed them all the different ways to make pasta. But as I went forward in my life, I realized how things happen. So, there was a question you had asked, if you could go back and tell your 10-year-old self something.
Yes.
And it would have been, remember who I am sooner. So basically, I'm going to tell you a little bit about something called the Roseto Effect. So in the 1880s, people from Roseto, Italy, came to the United States, landed in eastern Pennsylvania working the slate mines. And they were kind of shunned a little, pushed aside, so they moved off to the side of the town they were in, and they started a town, and they named it Roseto after their town in Italy. So to make it quick, fast forward to the 1950s and 60s, the doctor serving the town told a colleague that nobody in this town had any heart disease and a lot of other ailments they were lacking as well. And so they go study it because the obvious is, what are these people eating that they're so healthy? And, they were found that they were eating salted cured meats, food fried in lard, fatty cheeses. They were smoking and drinking, but they were happy and healthy. So they dug deeper, and what they ultimately attributed their good health and longevity to was the community-centered, church-centered, family-centered life. They said that the people nourished each other. It was the evening stroll. It was touching people. It was, we need connection. And that's so right. Basically, in the grand scheme, it's lack of stress. And they called it the Roseto Effect. So as I was doing all these cooking classes all these years, it was mostly because I have 6 kids. I was teaching people to cook because it was cheaper, faster, and healthier, and make the kids, and it was tastier. And I was in a cooking class, and somebody asked me, you're always talking about Italy. When are you taking us? And I said, well, let's go. So in 2017, I took my first group to Italy, and it was a culinary trip. But then the next year, someone called me, found me accidentally online, that was actually of heritage of the town. And all of a sudden I was taking somebody I was going to show them our town, not just my town. But that moment, I realized it was so much more to what I'm doing. It's not just about those things, the, cheaper, tastier, or whatever. It's really about the connections. And the connections are what we really need, And so, and then it was like, wait a minute, I'm from Roseto. I can teach people about the Roseto Effect. We need this. We need to get back to the table. And all of a sudden, the ideas flowed. You see, for many, many years, I knew deep inside there was something else I was supposed to do. And I couldn't figure it out. I used to literally, when you're by yourself in your car and you cry and you pray, And I was like, God, tell me what I'm supposed to do. And I said it to a friend one time. She said, oh, Dorina, you've already done big. You got 6 kids.
Well, yes, no one can take that away. But
I said, no, but something outside of myself. So right about this same time, I'm going to tell you a story right now that it's so appropriate for this day, it's going to make me cry. So I met this woman at a business networking meeting, and she's like, oh my gosh, I love this idea of the back to the table, this Roseto Effect thing. And I said, I really think we need to change the world, we need to start by getting people to the table and getting people cooking. So I'm driving to this event with her because she said she wanted me to meet some other people she worked with. She worked for a newspaper. And I've got about a half an hour drive, and I start crying in the car. and I'm beating myself up. I'm like, who the heck do you think you are? You're just a mom. What the heck? Blah, blah. I was probably saying that choicer words.
Right.
But anyway, and I'm like, you're just a mom. What do you think you're doing? You think you're going to change the world? Yeah, right, So, I dry my eyes, I go inside, I didn't get there, because I said I'd go. And we're walking down the hall, and this older African-American gentleman is walking towards us. And she'd done other events at this facility before. It was a really nice retirement facility in Gaithersburg, Maryland. And she stops to talk to him for a second. Hi, introduced me. Hi, Mr. Brown. Nice to meet you. Okay, and we go our merry way. So then she goes, Mr. Brown has a cool story. I said, oh, what's that? She goes, he was one of Martin Luther King's drivers.
Oh, my God.
Well, can I tell you that moment? I swear, I know.
Now I know why you said you got goosebumps when I told you it was Martin Luther King.
Yes, I know that God wouldn't hit me in the head, but I swear I felt somebody smack me in the back of the head and say, see, one person can make a difference. And so I'm hoping and praying that I can make a difference. There's been so many things I've lived through, and it's all led me to this.
Now, may I ask you this question? I know that from our conversation on the phone, you do have college under your belt. What did you go to college for? And I want the viewers to hear this, and there's a reason, because it's not what you're doing now.
No, heck no.
And that's what I want them to hear, because sometimes God has another plan.
Well, it all connects, though. I was a physical education major, and I played college soccer. I coached soccer for almost 40 years. But I believe that playing and coaching made me the person that I am. Playing gave me my voice. It gave me confidence and all that kind of stuff that I need today, because I was a painfully shy child, even though no one believes it today. And I think that essence of teamwork and respect that you learn on the field. And I just, to this day, I still have a gold soccer ball around my neck, next to my cross, because I believe it was something I needed,
Yes. There's a teamwork. If there's not I, it's EA. If there's team,
no I in team. Yep.
No I in it. Working together. I believe most sport teams in general are families. Also.
Yeah.
Did all of your children play?
All of them, and in fact, I coached them, even my boys, all the way up to college. So that was a lot of fun, being the only woman out on the fields. Yeah,
especially in that era.
Yeah,
because back then
I was the second graduating team for my high school.
That's incredible. Yeah. So going back to the Roseto.
The Roseto Effect.
The Roseto Effect. It's not a theory; it's an effect. Your family itself, did you come from a large Italian family?
Yeah.
Okay, so you were used to Sundays. Was it Sundays for you? Because
it was every day. Every day. I don't remember not eating a meal at the table. I have 3 sisters. My parents, we always ate at the table. And then I grew up in an Italian restaurant too, but we sat at the restaurant and ate together.
You still had your own table at the restaurant.
Absolutely.
Yeah, because that's how some of our Italian restaurants are here. The family members have their own table.
Their table in the back.
Yeah.
And quick, if somebody needs something,
they hurry up and get up to help them out.
Yeah.
So in 2017, one of your students in the class asked when you were going to take them to Italy just as a tour.
Yeah.
Now that year when you did that, it was strictly just town I came from? It was
focused on cooking.
Okay, that's what I was going to ask.
But it was an off the beaten path, small village trip. It's just really, it's something different. Everybody wants to go to Venice, Florence, Rome, but we go, I tell people, you're not going to be looking in the snow globe like you are on some of those bus tours, you're just looking out there, but it's actually, you're in the snow globe. You're living there for the 10 days that we do these trips.
Now, after 2017, the opportunity came for you meeting this individual to kick it forward.
Yeah.
Was there a time that, because of the pandemic, did you have to stop?
Oh, heck yeah.
Yeah.
So because of the pandemic, 2018, I started promoting it to people of heritage of the town. I was still doing other people other people can come as well. But the 2019, it blew up. It grew 500% in 1 year. And then I was slated to grow even more in 2020. I went boop to zero. So 0 for 20 and most of 21. I did one little group in the end of 21, and that was it. But we kicked back in 22, and we're moving forward now.
So one of the questions I always ask as well was lowlights. One of your lowest points. Do you mind touching base on that?
Well, yeah, I'll tell you that. I'll tell you a little bit about like my trajectory here. So, when I first met my husband, he asked me 3 questions. Are you Italian? Can you cook? Will you marry me?
Oh, how long did it take him to do that?
He asked me, we were driving in the car side by side, but that's another story. Okay. I was on the highway.
That's cute.
Someday I'm going to make it a movie. But anyway, 6 months later we were married. But anyway, we both came from 2 divorced families. And we swore, when we first got married, we drove back from California because he was in the Marines, so we got married out there. And we swore we weren't going to let our family chain affect us. We were going to break the chain. We were going to do whatever it took. But, life happens. As everybody out there knows, life gets in the way. We all have a story, and our story was that, we started our family. We were the couple everybody wanted to be, we had it all. And we had our beautiful kids. Well, we think they're beautiful. Anyway,
well, they are. And you were very involved, being with them, participating with them, their life.
Yeah, but we had a family tragedy that it wasn't the cause of our problems, but what it did was it made, with the grief and the depression, it made all the little teeny bubbles just rise to the top of any little thing that was, normal couple things, but it made it rise to the top and just explode. Wow. And so we couldn't handle it. We didn't know how to handle it, and we separated. So during that time, I was, miserable. I was crying. I was upset. But I was all I could do to keep going. And my Italian family tradition of cooking, it was something I dreaded. And so, I had no choice, though. I had to get up. I had to feed the kids. I had to get them out the door.
Something that you love so much.
Yeah, was something
something that became...
Well, just because I just didn't have the mental capacity to just do anything. I was just so, stuck in my little world. So, but I had to do what I had to do, and I did it. I don't think I was that creative during that time, but, I did it. But during that time, Pasquale, my husband, he came home every Sunday for dinner.
That's beautiful.
And little did I know at that time how much those Sunday dinners were important. It was the lifeline that held us together. One time I asked him, what was it and that kept you going for us? And he said it was our continued connection. And I was like, man, those dinners did it. And so, and looking back now, I realized that it was that family table, that back to the table movement that I'm trying to push now, was the thing that held us all in, cohesively.
So when I was talking with Lucia, she says, you got to have Dorina on your show. She tries to get the family to sit together. You understand, because you were an Italian family. She doesn't talk like that. She speaks so much better than that. And she's
she does speak kind of Jersey, though.
Yeah, definitely Jersey.
Definitely Jersey.
And she said, her program is where she teaches people how to cook. And the Italian way. And so thank you for being willing to, thank you for responding, because I drive people nuts, and they probably they're like, who's this person contacting me to be on this show? So thank you very much.
Anytime. You got to spread the word. This is my, people say that I've built a business that I love doing, and it is a business, so to speak. But honestly, I don't like calling it a business. I like calling it my mission, because it really, truly is that, and, my story is not unique. Everybody's got a story, and it's what you do with that story, in the world that makes it okay or not okay, because nobody's got a perfect life, no. And so the thing is, it's like, when I started doing this, and I didn't know why I was doing it, and I started doing things, and everything, everything came together. You got to stop, you got to listen. And you'll hear what you're supposed to do,
When you were going through the trial, and your husband and you made it through, and having the discussion on what helped, and he said the unity of the connection on
now, he didn't bring up the table. He just said our staying connected.
Or staying connected.
I know it was the table.
Right, but so did that spark? Did God just say, to you at that, like, this is, how did that door open where you knew that you, outside of being in college, teaching your friends in school how to cook, what made you pursue this end of wanting to teach people how to cook?
Well, I mean, I think I'm the oldest kid. I've always, I don't know, there's always been something in me that I've always been the caretaker, you know, with my little sisters, with friends, I was always the one, I was always the host. I always had people over, cooked for them, you know, and so I think I've just always been that way. One of my friends pointed it out to me. They said, "Don't you remember when we were in school?"
Are you a Taurus?
No, I'm a Pisces.
You're a Pisces, okay, because Taurus people are food people. That's why I'm asking. But Pisces is very
creative.
Yes, Pisces is very creative and nurtures as well. Okay, so go ahead.
So anyway, I just, like I said, I just enjoy teaching, whether I'm on a soccer field, whether I'm in a kitchen. If I know something, there's no sense in me holding on to it. You know, somebody said to me one time, "I can't believe you teach your nun a secret meatball recipe." And I'm like, wait a minute. Number one, it's not a secret. Number two, when I share that recipe, as well as every time I make it, she's still alive. She's still with me. And you know what? I can share you, and you can sit here with me and make the meatballs, and you know what? Yours are still going to come out different than mine. Your because it's a handful of this and a pinch of that, you might like a little more cheese than me, and I might like a little more oregano than you, or what, you know what I mean? So we make it ours. So it's not Nona's recipe to them. It's Nona's recipe to me, you know. But,
and Nona's always have a different, you can watch a million times like you said, and it's still Nona's.
Yeah. Everybody says their Nona's meatballs are the best. Everybody. Yeah. And they're all a little teeny bit different.
So now and I'll still refer to her even though I'm divorced, my mother-in-law taught me I love to cook. But I like ethnic dishes. I was raised on ham and roast beef. So I'm not really big on the ham and roast beef. So my mom used to say, you know, thank God for Linda because she taught you how to cook, right? But my mother-in-law, because we jarred our own tomatoes, and my mother-in-law used to joke around, and it was from the heart. It was nothing meant bad. She would say, "Oh, I got 2 daughters off of the boat. Neither one of them make a sauce. I got a mixed daughter-in-law, makes the best of sauce in the world." But she's the one who taught me.
Of course.
And then I would be in the kitchen watching her, and she doesn't think, and she'd throw like a carrot in there because the carrots take away the acid, right? Yep. And I'm watching, and she doesn't want anyone to see that the carrot's in there. And then she would put some fresh Parmesan cheese for the salt, and throw it in too. So then, when we were talking about how Mom makes her sauce, I said, yeah, she puts carrots and Parmesan. She turned around and waxed me up. I said, Ma, what was that? Oh, you don't tell the recipe. I just started laughing. Yeah. But it's like but no one's sauce will ever taste like hers.
Yeah, you got to share the recipes because otherwise they're going to die. And this is why nobody can cook today. Yeah. So years ago, I was running an Italian festival down in the D.C. area. And there was this old Italian priest, Father Carmen, who was, you know, he was the head and I was the chair. And we were having this conversation because over the 50 years that they had that festival, had ups and downs, you know, and this was kind of a downturn and I was trying to help, you know, raise it back up again. He said, you know, we got to keep this festival going because he said, everybody is somebody from someplace. He goes, first people have your heritage because everybody's somebody from someplace. He goes, people more in touch with their heritage tend to be more in touch with their religion. Because usually your heritage and your faith, they're intertwined. You know, if you're Italian, most likely I'm Catholic. You know?
Yes.
People more in touch with their faith tend to be more in touch with their families because you've got the rituals and traditions from your heritage and your faith that bond your families. And people more in touch with their families tend to be better individuals. But unfortunately, I hate saying it, but what do we have in this country right now? We have no heritage, no faith, no families. Yeah. We have a lot of lonely individuals.
Division.
So how do we get people together again? So my simplistic answer is teach them to cook. Because if you cook a meal, there's a greater chance everybody's going to come to the table. If you order, you know, takeout, it's going to end up on the coffee table in front of the TV. We can't be facing the same direction. We got to face each other. Right. And so my answer to save the world, learn how to cook.
And work together because it brings, one of my grandmom, she had a fudge recipe. And from the time I was 18 years of age, my grandmother, God rest her soul, and I would always make the fudge for Christmas time. And I think I'm 50, I'll be 58 this year. So out of those 40 years, I think maybe 4 out of the 40 I didn't make it, right? But now my great nieces, they came over with my sister, and here we are making the fudge. And it wasn't, I don't know if they'll remember, but it was being that togetherness.
Yeah.
That meant
they
so
may
much.
not remember the moment, but they're going to remember the act, and they're it's still ingrained in them. So, it's, so I'd love to share a couple of tips, if I may.
Yes.
I know so many people come to me via my, you were asking me, well, let me jump back real quick. You were asking me about the pandemic. During the pandemic is when I started, my husband was working in his office because he was working from home. My 2 college kids were in their rooms studying, and I'm stuck in the middle doing, what am I going to do? So I started teaching how to cook, but online. Because I couldn't do any of my cooking classes, and I couldn't do any trips. So I started a Facebook Live show. And because of that, I started a YouTube channel. I said, well, I know what to do with all the food everybody's hoarded, but nobody else knows they're hoarding food, but nobody knows what to do with it anymore. So I started my little quarantine kitchen kind of show, and it went from there. And it was really wonderful. It's become something that I just truly love doing.
And it's under
Dorina's Kitchen.
Right.
So it's Dorina's Kitchen on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube. I have a TikTok. My kids keep telling me, you got to do TikTok.
Yeah,
I'm like, all right,
right.
I'm working on it.
Yes.
We'll see.
Yes, because you are pretty tech savvy too.
I am pretty tech savvy.
Now you were saying that your husband is in that industry, but you're learning a lot on your own to navigate.
I used to learn from watching him the same way I learned how to cook in the kitchen, But he's my husband Pasquale is a New York producer and editor, and so he's worked on a lot of things like HBO and AMC and all that kind of stuff. So he's pretty good at what he does. He's the best. He's award-winning, Emmys, all that stuff.
Dorina, I have a question.
Yes.
With your cooking, do you have any schooling under your belt, or was it learn from the family?
I'm going to call it apprentice because I learned the family stuff.
Right.
But we had a wonderful chef at my parents' restaurant, and I learned so much from him. I guess I learned the old school way, in the kitchen with the chef, and Luigi Fiorentino. He was wonderful. And he's, I think he still lives in Bethesda, but he's just, I learned so many things just watching him. And then one time when I was 17, I was in high school. And my parents went out one Sunday, and the chefs used to take turns on Sundays. And the one guy that was there during the summer, because it was dead, and one of the guys, the chef that was there that day, Mario, he was Sicilian, and he was like this little guy with a handlebar mustache. Anyway, he had a fight with one of the waiters, and he left. And so one of the waiters calls me, Dorina, call your parents. We got no chef today. And I was like, I'm not calling them. They went out for the first time in God knows how long. I'll be right over. And I cooked. At the time I didn't know how to make carbonara. And but I knew how to make everything else, and one of the waiters knew how to make it, so we were good. And I cooked for the whole Sunday, and I was like not even 18 years old, and I was behind the line just cooking up everything, and we actually had a busy Sunday because usually it was pretty slow.
And everyone liked it.
And so and I got the bonus.
Yeah,
they used to get a little bonus to them who work on Sunday.
I love it.
So I was like, this was cool. So anyway, it was a great experience growing up in a restaurant.
What are the ages of your children, if you don't mind me asking?
So today they are 22 is my youngest, my daughter, and then I have 5 sons who came before her.
Oh.
So I'm going to say them out loud: Enzo, Nico, Leo, Tino, Carlo, and Angelina.
Now Angelina just got married?
No. Enzo and Nico are my twins. They're my oldest, and one got married now in December, and one got married last October.
Oh.
And Enzo's a realtor, and Nico's a state trooper here in New Jersey.
Oh, God bless. Yeah. Very good.
So. Very good.
Now, any grandchildren yet?
No, not yet.
Not yet. Okay, that's going to be the next chapter.
Yeah, right? Exactly. So, do we have a minute?
Yeah, we do.
A couple
Absolutely.
Things. So, to help you get back to the table, I really stress getting your kitchen organized. People are like, I don't have time. I tell you, you don't not have time. You don't have time to waste, because your kids are only, let me tell you, my youngest kid just graduated from college. You don't have time. The kids grow so fast, and I can't stress that enough. We who've grown kids know that. Those of you in the middle of it, let me tell you, tomorrow they're out. They're gone, and you're just like, when the heck did that happen? So set your kitchen up for success. So number 1, have your knives near the butcher block. Have your cups near the coffee. You know what I mean? Like, set it up so that it's functional. That is really, it's so simple, but I've gone into so many kitchens to help people set them up, and stuff is all over the place.
No organization.
Purge. You don't need 27 things or choppers, slicers, this and that. Have a good set of knives and your 1 or 2 favorite cutter things, and that's it. Get rid of everything else. The less you have, the more you'll do. So that's number 1. Your pantry and your spice cabinet. Make sure your pantry's full. Make sure you've always got all your dried goods, your pastas, your rices, your beans, your grains, all those things, your canned goods. The only canned goods you should have are ingredients, tomatoes, maybe some beans. I have dried beans. I always have some canned beans just in case I need them in a quickie, and stuff like that. And then your refrigerator. Like, you should always have carrot, celery, and onions on hand.
That's the main staple.
You need to have those. If you
Outside
have those,
my
you can.
eggs.
Yeah, because if you came over and went fishing and bring a fish over, and I say, we can make dinner. I can make a whole dinner because I've got all the accoutrements to go with it. You make sure that your pantry. It's like that commercial, the credit card commercial. What's in your pantry?
Yes.
What's in your pantry?
And
make sure you have the flavors of your life. I have all the Italian spices and a few others that I like. Somebody else is going to have all the Indian spices or all the other whatever. Have your spices and make sure they're all nice and fresh and they're handy.
Easy to access.
Right. So that's tip number 1 is the kitchen. Tip number 2 is the stage, which is the table. You know what? Use your tablecloth. Set it up and make the place attractive so people will want to sit there. That is really, really important. I use cloth napkins. People are like, oh my God, it's one more thing to wash. You know what? It's so much easier to find a cloth napkin than when you run out of paper napkins. You're like, crap, get some toilet paper. You know what I mean? It's like, what are we going to wipe our face with? Yeah. And so use the cloth napkins. Use the tablecloth. Use the table placemats or whatever. Put a candle on the table. Put the flowers on the table. Don't have junk on the table. Don't have the bills. Do them somewhere else. That kind of stuff. So have a clear table and be ready to eat. And number 3,
it makes it homey.
It does.
Yeah.
It makes it inviting.
Yeah.
And that's what you want. You want to invite people to the table. And then the other thing is conversation. Know how to converse. Don't ask yes or no. Did you
How
like,
was your day?
Yeah. I say don't ask questions that answer in yes or no or fine. How was your day? Fine. The kids are fine. It was school fine. No, don't ask those one-word answer questions. Instead, say, tell me about your day. It's amazing if you just change.
Oh, I like that.
Just change the wording just a little teeny bit, and it starts a conversation. Or you can start the conversation by saying, I saw something on TikTok today that, and all of a sudden the kids are going to be like, you're watching TikTok? And then they start laughing, and then you get going, and it's a lot of fun. So
it's, I want to go back real quick because I like to backpedal.
Yes.
When you said those of us with adult children, I run into, and I know that you do as well, when I go to the grocery store or wherever I'm going, and I know Matt's going to want to take the second commercial break. However, I'll see a mommy, she's ready to pull all of her hair out. You can tell she's stressed to the highest nines.
Oh, yeah.
And she's got 2 little ones. This one's pulling, that one's pulling, this one's touching everything, and you have to be careful because you don't know where boundaries are with some people. And I would just lean over. I said, enjoy this because they're going to be 28 and they don't want to be bothered anymore.
Yeah.
And they look at me and I said, I'm serious. You think that this is the worst time? This is the best chapter of your life right now, regardless of bills are always going to be there. This age will never. So
you can talk about boundaries, but I'm I play into my Italian mother stereotype, and I think that's why. So I can tell people what to do because they expect it from me,
right.
And so I do stop people in the grocery store. The same thing, and I tell them I stop
Embrace
and I talk.
It.
Well, I stop and talk to the kids. I'm like, hey, you're being so good, and I tell them others. I'm like, you know what? Just truly, that's not bad.
Yeah.
Enjoy this and don't worry, don't stress. There's
Just
way more.
embrace it.
Yeah, exactly. Tell the same thing you say.
So we were talking about go back to the 3 staples again that you need.
So control your kitchen, get it organized, get it purged, and have everything set up, ready to go. Make sure your pantry's full and your spices are ready to go. Your table, make sure set the stage that's inviting for the people that want to sit there. And of course, if you put the plates on the table, they're going to come to it. That's all there is to it, And then 3, get conversation rolling. And there's actually a lot of cool, you can go buy these boxes. I want to create my own one of these days. They're like conversation starters, little questions, or you can make
like
your
a
own.
roll of dice.
Yeah, you can make your own little questions and put them in a jar and say, hey, let's pull a question today.
That's a fun idea.
Absolutely.
That's actually a fun idea.
Gazillion where those came from.
So let me ask you this, because everyone, the 23 years that I was married, my mother-in-law would always fix our meals. She would cook. I would be in the kitchen. We would, and everything that you're saying is so true. That's how I was trained, right? Make the table look pretty. It's inviting. So it just makes it so much more enjoyable to sit down and have a meal. But my mother-in-law would always fix everyone's plates. So and then she would put the food on the table afterwards, right? And so I have the habit that I do that. Right. And it became to the point, and I just want to know if it's with you too, if you did the same thing. When my daughter was in high school, I mean, her teachers, because she didn't go with a sandwich, she always took tortellini soup, chicken Alfredo. It was whatever we had for dinner the night before. And her teachers would say, could you please bring me some? And sometimes I would make some for one of her teachers. Mom, could you? And I did. But her friends would love coming over and eat. But my daughter would be like, Mom, please don't serve them. I'm like, I'm not serving them because I'm weighing and measuring their food for their health. It's just a habit because that's how Nona taught me. But it's the way
you do it.
And then I put it on the table. And I'm like, you can eat all you want. Yeah. I just want to make sure you're getting the right part first.
So that goes back to the fact that in Italy, they eat in courses. And it slows things down, and it gives you a little bit of time between the courses to digest a little and to talk a little and to connect a little. You know, this is where we come to connect when we have troubles and, you know, whatever. So it gives us time to do that instead of eat and run. Eat and run is an American term. That doesn't exist in Italy.
It should be a celebration.
Absolutely. So, you know, I really think that, you know, I believe that the table, the family and the home is the bottom building block of society, and the table is the foundation. And when the foundation crumbles, the building falls. So we really need to shore up our foundation. So thank goodness our foundation and our family was strong. And so that lifeline that we had back then kept us together. You know, we've been married 34 years now.
Oh, God bless.
You know, our 6 kids are starting to get married. You know, 2 of them are married, and you know, and they all cook. Thank God I can cook, let me tell you, because they call me, Ma, how do you make this? Ma, how do you make that? They'll FaceTime me, how does this look? You know,
that's
so
beautiful,
I tell them,
though.
I've been joking with them lately, I'm like, boy, it's a good thing I can cook or y'all wouldn't call me. You know,
I'm needed. I'm still needed.
I'm needed. You know, so in order to help your listeners, help your families get back to the table, I created a little document, a little booklet.
Can I show?
Sure, you can.
Okay, I didn't want to do it until I had your proof.
So I made a little booklet that is all about, well, it's 5 of our family's favorite recipes. It's, you know, some that, no, don't tell what they are, it's a surprise.
Okay.
No, I'm just kidding.
Okay, no, I won't do that. I'm not going to say a word.
I'm just kidding.
I'm only going to flip the pages.
But I will
if
tell you,
me.
one of them is my chicken marsala, which that I learned at the restaurant.
Oh, that's one of my favorites.
And ours is a little different, has a little decadent extra piece to it. So the thing is, these are things, that's actually the first recipe all my boys fixed for the girls when they met them. Mom, I want to make the chicken marsala for the, you know. Oh, yeah. So that was the winner. But anyway, so if you go to dorinaskitchen.com/recipes, real easy. Dorina's Kitchen is DORINA, dorinaskitchen.com /recipes. You can download these recipes. They're my gift to you. And I hope that they will be a start to help you get your families back to the table. I made this just for you, for your show.
This is beautiful. I thank you so very much. So guys, please do not hesitate on reaching out to www.dorinaskitchen.com. Dorina's Kitchen. There are some incredible recipes here that are very... The pictures are just beautiful.
Thank you.
Thank you. Now, when you're doing Back to the Table, you and your husband just started doing segments that I catch, but I love them.
Yeah, we started doing something. We started doing it during Christmas time.
I loved it.
Some little, you know, couple-minute videos of how to have the best Christmas, and we're getting ready to start doing a weekly little show. People, all these years I've been doing the show, and I was like trying to get my husband to get on him. He's like, what I found out? He doesn't like doing the live. He gets freaks out about the live. I like live because I know I'm talking to somebody. You know, I feel like it's more personal.
Right.
Stale video to me is like, let me start over. It's no good.
Right, because you know what, then you're like, okay, if I mess up, I can just redo it. I like live myself because it's a one done and
Let
deal.
me tell you, because of my lives, I ended up with a great blooper reel. I had one time I was trying to show this tart, it was like a little pie tart thing, and I was like trying to hold it up to the camera so people could see because I just have one and the whole thing just flopped out of the pan. I mean, you know what? You can't make that stuff up. I mean, I'm real, I'm normal. I forget ingredients. I forgot the salt. But you know what? I hope that when people watch me, they realize that no matter how quote unquote good of a cook I am, I screw up, I burn things, sometimes I'm distracted too. That doesn't mean you're a bad cook. It just means you're normal.
Yes.
Yeah, you're human.
Okay, so what are your plans going on now? Do you still, you're still live where you go on and work with anybody live on making meals still on TV?
Yeah, I do my show, I do recipes, and of course in every recipe I tell people, this is a good meal to bring your family to the table.
Where can they find you on social media for that?
Dorina's Kitchen on Facebook. So facebook.com/Dorina's Kitchen. Same thing on YouTube. Same thing. Actually, if you just Google Dorina's Kitchen, you'll find all my social media.
That's exactly what I
Absolutely.
did. Because when Lucia told me and I was trying, it just I'm like, oh my gosh, she's all over. Yep. So it made it easier for me. What are your plans? What are your future plans?
I have groups this year, and actually we've started an extra thing, the Roseto Effect workshops, because you know what? That lifestyle lends itself not just to cooking, but to also all parts of your life, even your work. And so besides Lucia's musical one that we're doing, the Harp Festival, I have a writer's workshop in October.
And that was that the flyer I shared?
I don't know.
No, that was the book
maybe.
you wrote.
Yeah, I did actually. No,
Yes,
we did a live the other day.
Okay.
And so I have Donna Knutson, who's a friend of mine, who's a writing coach, and she's wonderful. And she came with me this year to Italy, checked the place out, and she's like, "Oh my gosh, this is because I told her, I said that's the only place I can write. That's where I go create. I paint, I write, I make jewelry, I do all that stuff in Italy. But here, my brain is too full of life, and it's not even it's busyness, It's like I step foot here and on my brain spinning. I step in Italy and everything slows down. So it's a great place to go there to reset, to clear your mind, and to write. And we're gonna in the future we're gonna do some other artist things, some health and wellness things. So we got a lot of things in store for the Roseto Effect workshops. So
any advice that you can give our viewers as Matt is giving us a cue down?
Honestly, the best advice I can tell you is get to the table now. So go download Dorina's Kitchen, dorina'skitchen.com/recipes. Start there. And then if you need more, just send me an email.
Dorina, I would love to thank you for being on our show. Thank you for coming all this way.
No, thank you.
I look forward to our conversation afterwards.
Yep.
I look forward to you helping Matt out when we're done. That's what I love about radio. Okay, to all you viewers out there listening, please understand you are not alone. Many of us hit rock bottom, feeling no hope and in despair. Never lose your faith. It's okay to crash. What is not okay is staying there. Succeeding in life is work. Everything that you have, every gift you're given, it's okay that you hit a wall 3, 4, 5 times, because being perfect is not what it's about. It's just learning from our mistakes and growing, okay? And success is work. You have to work for success. It's not just handed to you. So your life is a living testimony. You're helping someone out there. Do not forget that. So all of you out there, thank you for listening. And remember, this is your hostess with the mostest, Heidi Lee Morgan DeBartolomeis, trying to pass it forward one woman at a time on Cruisin' 92.1 FM. Booyah!
Yay.